Welcome, everybody. Today, we have a very special guest, and we're going to be talking about how you can get someone to stop interrupting you, but do it nicely. But we're going to use some subtle cues to help us do that. And our guest today is Vanessa Van Edwards. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm so good. Happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Vanessa has over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'll put a link to her channel below. She has a book out from a few years ago called Captivate, and she has a new book out called Cues. And this is all about those small little signals we send that create a huge impact. And today we're going to be talking about how to use small, subtle cues to get people to stop interrupting you so that you can express the important messages that you have to say. So, Vanessa, we're going to talk about 4 cues in the book to help people stop interrupting us, but do it in a nice way. In fact, so nicely that they might not even realize you're doing this, right? If you do it right. So
actually, discovering these cues, there was a very polite person who began to use them, and I noticed that it worked. This comes from a very polite person I know who is expert at getting people to stop talking and stop interrupting. So they work. They really work.
This is the way excellent people do this naturally. Mm-hmm. So let's talk first about the fish. Tell us about this tip.
Okay, so as humans, we are cued when someone is about to speak, they have to open their mouth. And so what happens is if you're speaking and someone goes, it's like you just did a little, excuse me, with your mouth. And so if they're speaking, especially when they go or pause for even the slightest second, it can be a little bit aggressive to just jump in right then. What you can do is like a fish. If you're really, really brave, you can even make a little fish sound effect. I wouldn't actually recommend making a fish sound effect, but it can make a little noise of just a little fish. You're like saying, excuse me. So yeah, just a little mouth open. It also works on video calls. So if you're on mute, but you want to say something, you can try and just do a little screen.
Right.
Because you will kind of see out of the corner of their eye.
And I like this because if you're trying to get into a conversation in the first place and there's someone who won't shut up, it helps you get in. But if they start talking over you, try to interrupt you, you can stay in that posture in a natural way. And they'll be like, oh, she's not done yet.
Exactly. Yes. So you can also hold the fish. I don't know what metaphor that would be. What animal always has their mouth open, but you can hold your fish open to say,
Yep.
I still have something to say.
Yeah. I know someone who does a version of this. They start moving their mouth as if they're about to say something. And I don't know if they're doing it to get the conversation back or just it's a habit. But every time this person does it, I notice maybe she wants to get in the conversation. It really does send a powerful but subtle signal.
Remember, our eye is drawn to motion. So if you are moving your mouth, either open or moving, our eye is drawn to that. And then it stops our thoughts so that we can let you speak, which is also the next one, which is the bookmark.
The bookmark. Yeah, I love this. I love your branding on these. It really makes it easier. Tell us about the bookmark.
Yeah, you have to have names for these, otherwise you forget them. So first we start with the fish, then we start with the bookmark. So the bookmark, remember, our eye is drawn to things in motion. We're also cued. A universal cue is this. Mm-hmm. If I put my hand out, no matter what the language, no matter what the culture, it means stop, excuse me, look at my hand. So you can use this very subtly as just a, really low and light, right? Even on video, that works. As they keep talking and talking, you can closer to them, right?
You're going to start to notice this at some point.
Right. Like if you just start with it's like as if, when a teacher was speaking and you had a question, you'd raise your hand. It's the same thing in conversation. Just you could start low and easy. And then as they keep going, you get closer to their face.
Right. Oh, that's pretty close.
Here they better stop.
That's pretty close. I have done this many times. I teach college, and sometimes a student, I'll be right about to finish a thought. But they want to jump in because they're excited. And I'll just say just hold on just a second. And then I'll give them a chance. And it really works in a lot of different situations.
So yes, that's the other way is if you just got one more little point, just one more little thing, let me just finish one. So you can get them to hold off for 10 to 20 seconds with that as well, which is so they can stop them from interrupting you.
Right. And the third one is called the anchor touch. Tell us about this.
Okay, so this is for your dreamers. Now, there are some people who talk and talk and talk because they're narcissists and they love hearing themselves talk. They're hard to get to stop, but there are some certain kinds of people who are daydreamers. When they're talking, it's almost like they're just verbalizing and they're in a different planet, right? They're like up here. So they're up here. So they don't notice your mouth open. They don't notice your hand. And these are people who often look off to the side as they're processing. So you cannot get their attention. It's like they totally have forgotten you're there. Right. So one way you can bring them back down to earth is with a light touch, literally anchoring them with to the hand or forearm or shoulder. So kind of a rule of thumb, the farther up the arm you go, the more intimate the touch becomes. Mm-hmm. So the hand is the least intimate area, and the forearm and the upper arm and the back. So I always like to do the hand, maybe like a light touch on the hand or a light touch on the arm, and you can pair it with one of the other cues. So, right. Or, and as you get closer, you go to the touch. That's how I use this. By the way, if you get to the anchor touch, if they still have not stopped talking and you're all the way there, this might not be a person you want to stay in conversation with, like maybe. Yeah. So usually I'm using the fish and I'm using the bookmark, and the bookmark's getting closer and closer and closer until I'm literally holding their hand to say, I'm still here. It's my turn. Yeah. I would like to say something, please. Yeah. And usually it brings them right down to earth.
It really does ground them again. I've seen spouses, usually old couples, do this to each other. One of them is going on, and then you see the spouse kind of like touch their spouse, like, okay, that's enough. That's enough.
So that's called a loving pat.
That's a loving pat.
And we all know a loving pat. When my husband lovingly, it means
like,
stop talking. You're done. I don't know about that. Do you need to go to the bathroom? Should we take a break? It's time to go. Like we all know the loving pat is a good signal.
That's enough for now. That's enough. And now if you know ahead of time, we all know those people ahead of time who like to dominate a conversation. What can we do at the start of a conversation to set ourselves up for success and prevent those interruptions?
Okay, so this is one of my most powerful techniques, not only for preventing interrupters, but also increasing competence. So whether or not you have an interrupt in the room, get in the habit of using what I call the preview technique. Mm-hmm. The preview technique is previewing to someone, I know what I want to say. In fact, it's going to be 3 different quick things I want to talk about. So first, second, third, your turn. The reason why we like this is because sometimes if someone's explaining something and they sound long-winded, and we think they're not going anywhere, we tune out. But if they started the conversation saying, listen, can I go over 3 different things with you? 1, they're more likely to pay attention. 2, we sound less long-winded because it's purposeful. And 3, you prevent interrupters. Do you notice how I just did that right then?
Yeah, that's good. I see you're practicing.
3, the interrupter goes, oh man, I want to talk, but I better wait till 3. Like she's not at 3 yet, so I better wait. So that's a technique that you can do whether you have an interrupter or not.
Yeah, it's a good fundamental to preview your main points.
You know, a funny thing is I actually learned that technique teaching on YouTube. So on YouTube, we like videos that have some kind of a structure. We don't want to just like turn on the video and listen to someone chat at us for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I've noticed that at the beginning of a video, just like we did at this video, we have 4 tips we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
People think, okay, they planned for this video, which we did. Good job, us. Yeah. And second, they're like, oh, I want to hear all 4. So this is great as a presenter, a content creator, a teacher. It's a really great way to show, I know my stuff. I prepped for you. Please listen to all of them.
Yeah, that roadmap, I think, gives the listener confidence that they will get their turn eventually, but they've just got to let the speaker talk for their 3 or 2 points or whatever it is. I do this to my wife now. I don't do it because she's not an interrupter, but she does get excited. And so I'll say, hey, I want to share a couple of things with you. When I was telling her about your book, she said, oh, you do that to me. You tell me, oh, there's 2 things. And then I know that I've got to wait for the second one before I jump in. So it works interpersonally, presentations, small groups. It works all over the place. Now let's reverse engineer this. If you know ahead of time that you've got a wicked interrupter, you give the preview, and then in your back pocket, you've got the fish, you've got the bookmark, and you've got the anchoring touch. And in combination, they will not feel like you're pushing them around. They're just going to feel like you're an effective communicator. She's got a plan. I'm listening. And it prevents you from having to, escalate. Hey, you're interrupting me, and confront them. This is a first line of defense against an interrupter. And I think it's really a great collection of tips.
you said something interesting there, which, I'm a recovering awkward person. That's what my communication tips, these things don't come naturally to me. And so I think what these cues do is they put us in control. And control for me is the sister emotion to confidence. It's really hard for me to get confidence, but I am able to get into control. What used to happen when I didn't have these tips is I would be with someone who's a long talker and get anxious, I'd be like, do I jump in now? Like, oh, it's going to be rude if I interrupt them. Oh, he's not respecting me. Like I would grow into this anxiety. And then by the time it came to my turn, I'd be like, please listen to my side of the story.
Right. And they're like, whoa, where'd that come
from? And they're like, okay, calm down. So I think that why we do these is it gives us something to do that makes us feel in control. That makes us an effective communicator. So I think confidence can come from control, and there are 96 cues. These are 4 of them. Actually, we talked about 5 of them. And those are, I think, what helps us feel like we don't have to get anxious or awkward. We know exactly what we have to do.
Right. And then I think the icing on these are all nonverbal, but I think the icing on the cake, well, the preview is verbal, but another one, you can simply accompany these by saying, oh, I'm almost finished. And at that point, it can be a very subtle verbal statement that reinforces what you're doing with your body, what you're doing with your gestures. So I think it all works together quite well.
And you can even say, I have a little spiel. It's going to take me a few minutes. Let me explain the whole thing. And then I'm going to take all of your questions. I can't wait to hear them.
Right.
So that's the other thing, is knowing you're going to be long-winded, but then saying, I really want your feedback. Just listen to the whole thing and then I'll get it all. That's also how we can be congruent with our verbal and our nonverbal.
Well, let me talk about your book one last time before we sign off. It's fantastic. I'm working my way through it. It's called Cues. You can find it everywhere. It's on numerous bestseller lists. And I think Amazon is the most obvious place you can quickly locate it.
I read the Audible if you like my voice.
Yeah, Audible is fantastic. I saw you made a video about you in the studio doing that. That must have been an exhausting day.
It was 3 8-hour days.
Yeah. Oh, 3 days. You compressed it in your social media post. But I will put links to all of that for you viewers in the description below the video. Please check out Vanessa's book and her channel. Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh my goodness. I love what you do. I love what you're teaching. I'm so honored to be on, and I can't wait to just support, and we got to grow together. So thanks everyone for watching. The fact that you're here means you're learning, and we all get to learn together.
Absolutely. Thanks. See you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.